Welcome back to Fox and Friends First. A growing number of illegal immigrants finding sanctuary in America's churches to avoid being deported back to their home countries. So, should churches face repercussions? Here to weigh in is Fox News contributor Pastor Robert Jeffress. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Pastor. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Heather.
So there was this piece that was in the Washington Times, and it asked a good question. You know, is housing these illegals, is that the biblical thing to do?
Well, I think our viewers are going to be surprised to learn that churches actually have no ability to harbor or offer sanctuary to people breaking the law. I mean, right now, law enforcement officials can go into any church, any mosque, any synagogue, and arrest those who are breaking the law, whether it be illegal immigrants, domestic terrorists, or tax evaders. The only reason immigration officials aren't doing that right now is they don't think the optics would look good of doing that. But right now, they have the freedom to do that if they want to.
But yet ICE, at least in some situations, considers these churches safe zones. And as we speak about that, we can pull up some maps now, some sanctuary jurisdictions versus states who are banning sanctuary policies. So what about that ICE considers these churches safe zones?
Well, that is a figment of ICE's imagination. Again, the law is on the side of ICE to enforce immigration policy. And look, Heather, I believe as a pastor, my job is to teach people to obey the law unless it contradicts Scripture, to obey all the law, including immigration law. But God has given government, not the church, the responsibility to enforce the law, and that's an important distinction to keep in mind.
Well, and that's very interesting because you constantly hear about the need for the separation from church and state in some specific issues, but then when it comes to this issue, it seems to be that, you know, the mainstream media and a lot of liberals or Democrats tend to say, oh, well, let's merge the two.
Well, that's right. And look, when I look at the Bible, God has created three institutions: the family, the church, and the government. Government has a different responsibility than the church. Government is an enforcer and a restrainer of evil. And Heather, contrary to what some high-profile religious figures say right now, enforcing the laws, enforcing borders is not an unchristian concept. God is the one who created nations and the boundaries in which nations exist, the New Testament teaches. So we ought to enforce the borders.
Do you think that a lot of it also has to do with just disagreeing with the president's policies in general?
Oh, I think a lot of that is true. And look, again, government has the right to establish laws to protect its citizens. And I believe that government needs to do its job and allow the church to do its job of teaching members to respect governing authorities.
All right. And Romans 13 specifically talks about that. So people at home can look that up. Thank you so much, Pastor Jeffress. We appreciate you joining us this morning.